Hello, and welcome to Art Song Notes. My name is Cara Alfano. Today we're going to be taking a look at one of my favorite songs in German to assign beginning voice students, and that is Sonntag by Johannes Brahms. This little song was published in 1868. Now, the reason why I like this song so much is that it is a folk song. It has simple melodic lines, and many of these lines are descending in nature, which is really great for a beginning voice student as they are developing their vocal technique. Now, a fun side note. Johannes Brahms was a big admirer of folk tunes. He would often write his own folk tunes, and then sometimes he would take pre-existing melodies and reimagine them into his own compositions. Now, in today's video, I'm going to take you through the pronunciation of the German text of Sonntag, and then I'm going to read through an English translation of that text. We'll also talk about the compositional style of this piece, and then I'll leave you with some vocal technique tips that will help you in your practicing of Sonntag. So let's get started with the German pronunciation. The pronunciation of the German text of Sonntag is as follows. So hab ich doch die ganze Woche mein feines Liebchen nicht gesehen. Ich sah es an einem Sonntag wohl vor der Türe stehen. Das tausendschöne Jungfräulein, das tausendschöne Herzelein, wollte Gott, ich wär heute bei ihr. So will mir doch die ganze Woche das Lachen nicht vergehen. Ich sah es an einem Sonntag wohl in die Kirche gehen. Das tausendschöne Jungfräulein, das tausendschöne Herzelein, wollte Gott, ich wär heute bei ihr. So the English translation of this text I am getting from this fabulous book called the Fischer-Dieskau Book of Lieder. The translations are done by George Bird and Richard Stokes. So if you're going to sing German Lieder and you want some great translations, I'd say pick up this book. The English translation is as follows. So all the week I've not seen my dear love. On a Sunday I saw her standing at her door. My darling love, my darling sweet, would God I were with her today. So all the week I'll not cease to laugh. On a Sunday I saw her going to church. My darling love, my darling sweet, would God I were with her today. So, like so many texts of folk songs, the stories and the feelings that are conveyed are pretty simple and universal. If I was going to sum up this text in one sentence, it might be this. On Sunday, I get to see my sweetheart at church. Oh, how I wish I were with her right now. So let me ask, what might this mean to you in the 21st century? Well, I think it's actually pretty obvious. I think any time that we have been excited to see a loved one, we want to be with them right now. That is the message that this song is conveying. And I think pretty much all of us have had that feeling in our lives. So now let's take a look at the compositional style of Sonntag. Sonntag is in a strophic form, which means it's structured as verse, chorus, verse, chorus. A majority of folk songs are in a strophic form. The tempo marking is nicht zu langsam, which means not too slowly. I think that this is important for two reasons. First off, if you're a beginning singer, it can be a little challenging to get through some of the longer phrases if it were to be sung at a slower tempo. Secondly, I think a slow tempo would negate the youthful energy and excitement that is portrayed through the text. The vocal line, you'll note, is very simple. There are no accidentals. It stays in the home key the entire time, which is also pretty common within folk songs. And then lastly, I want to draw your attention to the fact that the words wollte Gott, meaning would God, is repeated several times in the chorus. I think this just emphasizes that longing to be with the loved one when you're invoking God and asking God if that time could come now. So now let me take you through some vocal technique tips that will help you in your practicing of Sonntag. So my first vocal technique tip has to do with the fact that German is a very consonant-oriented language. It can be very easy to focus so much on getting all those consonants right that you neglect to give the vowels the kind of time that they need. So I would suggest practicing a few different ways to give the vowels the time that they need, and also to practice legato line. So first, to practice legato line, try singing the vocal line through on lip trills or tongue trills. This will help you learn what kind of breath support you need throughout the whole range of the song, because remember, that song has a range of an octave and a half. So it's got a decent sized range for a beginning singer. The other thing I would do is practice speaking the text in a elongated, exaggerated way, so that way you're taking time to focus on those vowels. What do I mean by this? Well, let me demonstrate. So hab ich doch die ganze Woche mein feines Liebchen nicht gesehen. I know it sounds really, really silly, but when you practice it that way, it's easier to translate that kind of breath support and that elongation of the vowel to the singing. So hab ich doch die ganze Woche mein feines Liebchen nicht gesehen. All right, now vocal technique tip number 2 has to do with the consonants, and that is make sure that both the beginning and the ending consonants are quick and crisp. My third vocal technique tip has to do with a particular phrase and how we want to shape it. So in the chorus, after you sing Jungfräulein, in general, like when you go and listen to recordings, you'll hear the singers go all the way through from Das tausendschöne Jungfräulein, Das tausendschöne Herzlein. That is really challenging to do, especially for a beginning singer. So when I coach beginning singers, I allow them to take a breath after Jungfräulein. That way, they're learning how to shape a phrase a bit, and they're able to refuel with breath before they have to negotiate that vocal lift of over an octave on Das tausendschöne. So what I would suggest doing is singing it like this. Das tausendschöne Jungfräulein, das tausendschöne Herzlein. So it will require a little bit of a retard there on Jungfräulein, but I do think that is a valuable choice to make when you are a young singer or when you might be coaching a young singer in this piece. Now, my fourth vocal technique tip has to do with the singing of the words wollte Gott. Make sure that you take good preparatory breath to help support the high notes there that begin each one of those phrases. And then also remember to release the jaw. Don't close up your jaw because you're scared of that high note, but rather release it, sing all the way through that aw sound, and don't let that L come in too soon. And then lastly, I just want to draw your attention to the fact that each one of the choruses end with an exclamation point at the very end. So just remember that as serves to be another demonstration of how much joy and excitement and energy needs to be brought to the singing of this art song. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you find this video to be helpful in your study of Sonntag. Please check out some of the other videos on my channel and subscribe to my channel. And until next time, happy singing.